Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellencies, Your Honor. 10 years ago, I was in this very building on May 17, 2013, as an aide-de-camp to then-President Oscar Temaru, when French Polynesian Maohinui was relisted by consensus on the UN list of non-self-governing territories. This year, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of our reinscription, recalling Chapter 11 of the UN Charter and General Assembly Resolution 1514. In my first speech as petitioner 9 years ago, I said that in a world of violence and wars, we cherish the peaceful yet determined path that has been ours in this decolonization process. With the help of the United Nations, we intend to remain on this path. Time has come to pave this peaceful and determined path. Today, I stand before you as newly elected President of French Polynesian Maohinui. In June 2022, the Tavinihuit Atira no Te Ao Maohi Party won the 3 seats at the National Assembly of France. This was the start of the blue wave, blue being the color of our party. Then came our general elections, and we won again in April 2023, with now a strong majority of 38 out of 57 seats at our local assembly. The results of these elections were handed to the Suite C24 in June 2023 and shall now be recorded in our resolution. Yet, the past decade has been one of silence, as the only echo from our administering power has been an empty seat. But the world is changing, the balance of things shifting, and we can all acknowledge and salute the presence of France in the room today. Aujourd'hui est un jour historique. C'est le jour de la mise en place du dialogue entre la Polynésie française, Maohinui, et notre puissance administrante, l'État français. Je veux ici remercier le président Emmanuel Macron pour ce respect de la parole donnée, cette parole fondamentale dans nos cultures océaniennes. Je sais pouvoir compter sur vous pour mener ce dialogue, car la France est le pays des droits de l'homme, un pays qui s'est toujours battu pour que la démocratie triomphe, tout comme le Tavinihuit Atira. À l'heure où le multilatéralisme est testé, où l'Indo-Pacifique est convoité, où les désamours post-coloniaux s'exacerbent, il nous faut ouvrir de nouvelles voies ensemble, sous les auspices des Nations Unies. Je veux dire à l'État que la relation qui est la nôtre depuis mon élection est basée sur la confiance et le respect mutuel. Je ne souhaite ni confrontation ni rupture sous ma gouvernance, mais bien des discussions ouvertes, franches et constructives entre partenaires. Décolonisation. Ce mot est souvent perçu comme un affront par les puissances administrantes, comme une inquiétude pour ceux qui n'aspirent plus à l'émancipation et comme un remède à tous les maux pour ceux qui la désirent. En réalité, il s'agit pour tous avant tout d'un exercice d'introspection et d'ouverture à l'autre. Paraphrasant Robert Louis Stevenson, je dirais qu'en matière de décolonisation, l'important n'est pas la destination mais le voyage en lui-même. Décoloniser, c'est aussi assurer un développement socio-économique harmonieux et en phase avec notre identité, notre histoire, notre culture, nos ressources et nos contraintes. Je n'ai aucune raison de douter de la volonté de la France de nous accompagner sur le chemin de ce développement, basé sur 4 secteurs prioritaires, le tourisme, le secteur primaire, les énergies renouvelables et l'économie numérique. Je souhaite que nous bâtissions ensemble un exemple pour le monde, une décolonisation dans la paix, sans exclusion ni rupture, et dans le respect de nos intérêts mutuels. Madam Chair, I would like to confirm that my government fully supports a proper decolonization and self-determination process under the scrutiny of the United Nations with the administering power, with France. The time to converge on a method starts today. The administering power shall transmit information to fulfill her obligation under Article 73E of the Charter. We will also fulfill our own obligations. I would like to thank the C24 for the work already done on our resolution. However, some language still needs to be amended. First, ownership of Maori people over its natural resources is fundamental. The rights of our people over their natural resources, including marine resources and undersea minerals, shall not suffer any legislative enlargement of the list of strategic materials, a list upon which only the administering power has control. So we would add some language to strengthen the dedicated paragraphs in the current resolution. Second, we accepted not to add the reference to the General Assembly Resolution 17/30 of December 13, 2022, entitled Humanitarian Consequences of Nuclear Weapons. However, we think that it is relevant to include all consequences of the 193 nuclear tests in our resolution, For example, to take into account the possible generational damages of the nuclear test contamination. An updated dialogue must be re-established on this issue. Third, we must emphasize the need to develop a political education program for youth to foster awareness of the right to self-determination, and I call upon the administering power to co-construct this educational work program with our government. Thus, we would suggest inserting a new paragraph 8, written as follows. Decides to initiate a constructive program of work for French Polynesia to facilitate the implementation of the mandate of the Special Committee and relevant resolutions on decolonization, including resolution on specific territories in accordance with OP8D of Resolution 77/149 of December 12, 2022, and requests the Secretary General to provide the necessary support to ensure the implementation of the constructive program of work for the territory. Finally, some language of the resolution is now irrelevant. It is essential to delete parts of Chapter 3 referencing to the previous calls to delist French Polynesia from the list of non-self-governing territories. We won the 2 last elections in French Polynesia. Being very clear in our campaign, we will start the decolonization process with France under the UN scrutiny. Not meaning that we would be independent the day after the elections, but that we would initiate the dialogue with France about a process leading to a future referendum of self-determination. To delete these outdated calls to the list is to acknowledge democracy. Madam Chair, I will give you the edited resolution we suggest the General Assembly to adopt later. Now comes the time to initiate a frank and honest dialogue with the administering power to facilitate rapid progress towards a fair and effective self-determination process. In that sense, I wish to reiterate our continuous request for a C-24 visiting mission. It would give the opportunity to all parties, to all voices to be heard directly, and for a fair and balanced review of our governance and relation to the administering power to be conducted. Maururu, te arufo yarahi.